Hello, wonderful algebra students. You should be opened up to your table of contents. Today's lesson is called Solving One-Step to Multi-Step Equations. So we're going to take a look at what those look like today. Then open up to a new page. So this is Unit 1, Lesson number 2. And again, we're solving one step, which you guys have seen before, but we're going to reach up to multi-step today in our examples. Wow, that's a long title. Okay. And perfect. So we looked at properties yesterday, and we're going to use those properties of equality that we talked about, and we're going to look at each one separately. So just for good measure, we're going to say when solving equations. Now, if you need to put that in your notes, just make sure the difference between equations and expressions. Equations are going to have those equal signs. We're going to use those properties of equality. We use properties of equality. Okay, so let's get started with addition. I'm going to mix it up on the colors here. Do not feel like you need to do that. I just like the way that it looks. So we're going to start with equality of, oh, no, there we go. Oh yeah, and my pen's erased. Look out. Oh my god, now I'm writing pen. Whew, can you tell this is my first video? I don't know, I sure can. Okay, so equality property of addition. So the problem we're going to look at is going to be example number 1. G minus 1.7 or 1 7/10 is equal to negative 9/10, okay? So what we're going to do is use the equality property of addition and add this value to both sides. And then when we do negative 9/10 plus 1 7/10, we'll get G is equal to 8/10. And that'll be it for our first example. Hopefully you guys thought that was nice and easy. Time to switch it on up. Now we're going to go to subtraction. So we have the equality property of subtraction. This will be example number 2. Alrighty, and we've got negative 8 is equal to 5 6/10 plus z. Okay, I like to draw my lines through the z's so you can tell that they're not 2's. So what you're going to do is use the equality property of subtraction and subtract 5 6/10 from both sides. Negative 8 minus 5 6/10 is going to give you negative 13.6. Negative 13 6/10 is equal to z. Alrighty, moving right along. Let's see if I can just move this up there. Who knows? We'll see. Testing, and maybe. Okay. You guys probably don't need my commentary, but, you know. We'll see how it goes. Next is going to be equality property of, you guessed it, multiplication. Example number 3, we are looking at k divided by 7, okay, k over 7, we're going to see it in a couple different ways, is equal to negative 12. Now when we need to multiply to both sides, so in this case we're going to multiply 7 to both sides. Alrighty, I like to write it like this, so and you can write it in whatever way you want, but I like to cross those guys out there when it's time to eliminate. And then we've got negative 12 plus, or times 7, and we'll get that negative 84. And then last but certainly not least, we have the equality property. Let's see if I can figure this out here. Maybe? Alrighty. We got a couple issues here with the way that I have this laid out. So wait, alrighty, we're just going to go to a new page. I don't have time for this. But you can keep going on that page down here. So let's get those lines. Here. Alrighty, and then we've got the equality property of division. You guys are pretty patient with all of my little figuring things out, so I appreciate it as we move through this flipped journey together. So we've got 9 is equal to 18W, and when we use the equality property of addition, we're going to divide by both sides. That drawing that little division symbol every time, I think, can make the problems a little messy, so I like to turn it into a fraction. 18 over 18 is equal to 1, so those are going to cancel out. And I have 9 over 18 is equal to W, but we are not going to be lazy algebra students, so we are going to simplify that to 1/2. Alrighty, so a couple notes, okay, when solving multi-step equations, there's a couple things you want to keep in mind. So these are some little tips here. You want to always combine like terms if possible, and I'll show you an example of those. Always combine like terms if possible, and then you want to take a minute and really just assess the problem that you're looking at. Take a look, which property should I use? Not like don't just jump in all willy-nilly, okay? Assess the problem. Logic, use a little bit of logic through it, and that way you can be a little bit more fluid when you go through and solving your problems. So you just want to take a second and determine which equality property is going to be best. Because you got 4 of them. Now, property to use first, because you could use a bunch of different ones, but you know, some are better to use than others. Which property to use first? Come on, Miss Hardaway, stop talking to yourself. Alrighty, and because I can't figure out this doc cam, we're just going to flip, and boom, would you look at that? New page. If you guys are going through pages this much, I better figure out a new system, or we're not going to have any trees left in this world. Alrighty, so example number 5 is going to be 5x minus 16 is equal to 24. Alrighty, so take a second. Oh, I guess my projector's taking a second. Come on. Alright, assess the problem. Which one do you think you would use first? Okay, addition property it is. So I'm going to put that over here. So equality property of addition, just so I have it in my notes. Oh, I'm running off the screen, so I'm just going to do the sign there. And then I'm going to be left with, those are going to cancel out, I'll be left with 5x is equal to 40. And then I'm going to do one more to completely solve for x. I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So again, that's going to be my equality property of division, because I divided from both sides. And so my solution is going to be x is equal to 8. Another example, you got it. Okay, so here we go. We got example number 6. We got negative 3x plus 1 is equal to 7. All right, take a second and assess. Alrighty, let's get rid of that positive 1. So I'm going to be left with negative 3x is equal to 6. And because I subtracted, I use the equality property of subtraction. And then I got to get this negative 3 away from x. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. One of the most commonly missed things that I see is people forgetting to put that negative sign there. So do not forget that negative sign. Alrighty, and we use the equality property of addition to get our final solution. And x is equal to negative 2. Alrighty, let's see a tougher one, shall we? Example number 7. Tough. Some of you are like dying to make it a little tougher, okay? So here's what we were talking about before with the little combining like terms. So we've got negative 4n minus 8n plus 17 is equal to 23. So the first thing that we want to do is combine like terms, but instead of writing that in our explanations off to the side, we're just going to be advanced algebra students and write the word simplify. In fact, it's even shorter. So we're going to take negative 4n minus 8n and get that negative 12n. And then we're going to use our properties of equality. So take a second. Which one do you think it is? You got it. Subtraction. Alrighty, so I'm going to put equality property of subtraction here. Oh. Subtraction, not division. Alrighty, and then I'll have negative 12n is equal to 6. Then I want to get that negative 12 away from our variable n. Those are going to cancel out. Remember to keep that negative sign on there, so that'll be our equality property of division. And then I'll be left with n is equal to 6 over negative 12, which we are not going to leave it like that. We're going to simplify, so our final answer is going to be n is going to be equal to a negative 1/2. Alrighty. I think we have time for one more, so let me flip the page here. Last but certainly not least, we've got example 8. So this is going to be our last one. You are almost there. Stay with me. Okay, we've got 1/2. Yay, fractions! X plus 4 is equal to 10. Take a second. How do you think you would solve this? Alrighty, so we're going to start with that equality property of subtraction. I need to stop watching the screen. So then I get all mixed up here. So those cancel out, so I have 1/2 x is equal to 6. And then this is one where we're going to use that equality property of multiplication. I know you've been asking when we were going to use it. So who remembers multiplying by the reciprocal? That's when we're going to see the equality property of multiplication. So 2 over 1 times 1/2, remember, cancels out to 1. So that's how we're going to eliminate that fraction on the left side of the equal sign. Now, if this is something you're going to struggle with, please come in the next day and just check in with me and be like, hey, Miss Harderwig, I would like you to show me that one more time, a little slower, and maybe in person. I'll say, hey, no problem, you got it. So then we're going to multiply 2 over 1 on the other side. Checking out my time, I got to speed through this finish here. So again, we use the equality property of multiplication. And then 6 times 2 is 12. And that's it. See you tomorrow. Well, we were watching this in class, so hope you liked it.